Alright, the Watanagashi festival is really close right now. It is upon us. And Shion right over here, oh boy, she is in full-on depression. I heard the doorbell ringing. I ignored it at first, but it rung persistently. I started hearing knocking, alongside Kasai's rude voice.
シオンさん、いらっしゃるなら開けてください。弁当を買ってきました。
I didn't ask him to. He must have known that I hadn't eaten enough, that I'd been feeling down lately.
やはり食事を取られていませんでしたか。
You gotta eat, Shion.
別にお腹が空いてるわけじゃないし。
But when Kasai put the food on the table, my stomach reacted in a very primitive way by making some noise.
ほら、お腹が鳴っている。食べた方がいいですよ。
I was hungry, but I had no appetite. I mean, I did have an appetite, but didn't have the energy to eat. Yet, I feel bad wasting the food Kasai had brought. I picked up my chopsticks just to humor him.
最近はばあさんがマークしてるんじゃなかったの？私のとこなんかに来て大丈夫なわけ？
おりょうさんは綿流しの打ち合わせなどでお忙しく、シオンさんのことまでは最近は頭が回らないようでしたので。クリームコロッケは好物ではありませんでしたか？
うん。美味しいです。ありがとう。
While I nibbled on the food, Kasai read through the magazines I brought.
葛西は、うん。
I never talked to Kasai about something like this before. Since I've always believed myself superior to him psychologically, I hesitated to show my weaknesses to him. I think that ship sailed like a while ago. And with that scene you have made in the classroom, like that ship like crashed into the iceberg.
そういう悩みも年頃にしておくのは悪いもんじゃありませんよ。
葛西、あんた全部知ってる？
ミオンさんから少々力になってほしいと頼まれました。
お姉か。
I mean, of course.
心配しておられましたよ、ミオンさん。
Yeah, of course she is. Without responding, I threw the last croquet in my mouth.
北条聡君の近況を知りたがっていると思いまして、少し情報を集めてきましたが、余計なお世話でしたか？
余計なお世話です。でも、せっかく集めてきた葛西の顔を立てるために、まあ一応聞いておきます。
Kasai chuckled, but stopped quickly as if thinking it rude.
北条哲平が家を出たらしいです。沖宮に実婚の関係の女性がいまして、そこへ転げ込んだようです。
哲平？
Yeah, the uncle.
誰？ああ、サトシ君のおじか。
家には、叔母の北条玉江と北条聡、聡子の3人となりました。
Tamae, Hojo. Okay, so that's the name of the aunt. I don't think that her name was mentioned up until this point. If not, I surely forgot.
玉江は、哲平が別の女性のところへ逃げたのだと気づき、大層機嫌を悪くしたらしいですね。
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she's taking it on the kids.
ってことはあれだ。ますます叔母の里子いびりが加速して、サトシ君もそれのとばっちりで、ますますに苦労してるってことか。
No. The aunt is being even nastier to both Satoko and Satoshi.
サトシ君の方はわかりませんが、聡子さんの方は近所でも噂になるくらい、決して良くはない状況です。
Satoko looks miserable. That means Satoshi-kun must be going through equally miserable torture.
その叔母って、なんとかならないの？憎き北条家の片割れなわけだから、園崎本家で制裁しちゃおうって話にはなってないの？
She's also one of the remaining Hojos after all. The uncle is gone. So why not the aunt?
園崎本家としては、 北条夫妻の事故死で一応のけじめがついたので、北条関連では一切手を出すなと言命が出ています。夫妻の事故死を疑う警察が北条家近辺を未だマークしているという噂がありますので。
事故死はお社様のたたりってことになってるからね。神罰が下ったんならそれ以上は人間が下すまでもないってこと。
Kasai put on a faint smile. Come to think of it, it is hard not to suspect the involvement of the Sonozaki family in all the incidents said to be Oyashiro-sama's curse. Somebody strives to get rid of the hag's concerns on the day of the Watanagashi festival. Furthermore, the Watanagashi festival is going to be held tomorrow. Will the curse strike again this year? If so, who will be the victim? Now that I think about it, there were cases of multiple victims in the past. The first and third year, it was just one, but the second year, the victims were a couple. So it wouldn't be too strange if two people fell victim this year. Seems like a good time. It'd be best for Satoko and her aunt to be the victims. Satoshi couldn't be freed from every source of his worries all at once.
葛西、今年のお社様のたたりの犠牲者は誰かってもう決まってるの？決めるのはばあさん？ならお姉は明日の犠牲者をもう知ってるってことになるな。どうなの葛西、何か聞かされてる？
シオンさん、私はその件については一切聞かされていません。
まあそりゃそうか。火災ごときの耳に本家の最高機密が入るわけもないか。
そういうことです。少なくとも私の関係する界隈ではそういう話は降りてきていません。ですが、ご存知の通り本家は裏の世界の方々に通じます。私にはその一部を垣間見ることも叶いません。
Maybe I could try asking Sis about it. But she won't talk. She's strict about keeping promises, unlike me. If the hag told her to keep a secret, she'd take it to her grave.
今年の綿流しでおばとさとこが消えちまえばいいのにな。葛西、私は憂慮したよ。気を利かせてくれると嬉しいんですけど。
シオンさん、ご冗談を。
わーってるって。言ってみただけだって。
I took a glimpse at Kasai. He didn't look like he was actually going to do something to make my wish come true. I wasn't able to go to the villages myself, so I definitely wasn't going to the festival. I didn't care about that. Even so, I was interested in who was going to end up as the victim of the curse. Again, you know, what with Shion being watched by the family and all that, and not being able to go into the public that easily, it does make me question like how she was able to go so freely in like the current time in episode 2. That's something that I'm interested in hearing about. Like, one easy explanation would be that Oreo just loosened the grip on Shion, and she could just do like whatever the fuck she wants. That she's no longer being looked at like this. If I just kept lying on this couch playing hooky, somebody would fall victim in several hours. I had no clue why it had to happen every year, but I was certain that the hag was behind it. All the enemies from the damn conflict had been punished. Only the Hojo couple was left, since most of the other enemies had already gone. The cicadas were crying loudly outside. It made me feel hot. Why was it this hot and humid in June? If Oyashiro-sama was actually punishing people, I pray for one thing. I pray that the evil aunt would be punished. And I offer up Satoko as a sacrifice. Huh. It's hot. When I woke up, Kasai had already gone. Looks like he cleaned the table in the surrounding room. He put my dirty laundry into the hamper in front of the washing machine, too. Being a girl of the sensitive age, I didn't want a man to clean my room. No, I'd rather thank him than badmouth him. I looked at the clock. It was late afternoon. I had to go grocery shopping. There was nothing left in the fridge, and I'd be having just rice for dinner if it didn't go. At that moment, the phone rang. Oh? Is it Mion? I did hope it was him. He could have brought more food, so then I wouldn't have to go shopping. While I was just being lazy, I didn't feel like going out at all. But it wasn't Kasai on the phone.
おねえ、そこ、どこ？本家じゃない？あ、うん。公衆電話からかけてる。だから手短に話すよ。サトシから電話が来たんだよ。
Oh?
サトシくんが？おねえに？多分、私にじゃないと思う。シオンにだと思う。サトシは、先日の教室での件を謝りたがってるみたいだった。だから、その電話はシオンが受けた方がいいと思って。サトシの電話は、今ちょっと忙しいからすぐかけ直すって言って切ってあるの。だからシオンは、今から私が言う電話番号に電話してあげて。
Alright.
うん、わかった。
I was stunned for a second, but then recovered and wrote down the number on the back of a magazine.
ありがとう。
Alright, well, let's see how this conversation is gonna go.
すぐに電話します。そうしてあげて。サトシは最近、すごく追い詰められてるの。私の声はもう届かないみたいだけど、シオンの声なら、ひょっとすると届くかもしれないって、何の根拠もなく思ってる。
She could have pretended to be me and handled this call, but she passed it over to me.
ありがとう、ミオン。じゃあね、シオン。
Before she hung up, I put the handset down. Then after a second, I dialed the number in a flash. I heard a dial tone 3 times, 4 times, and there he was.
北条です。
He sounded like an adult. His voice sounded a bit tired too, but he definitely was the voice I loved. I got scared. I was scared that he might become sulky again if I mentioned my name. I couldn't open my mouth for a while.
サトシくんですよね。さっきはごめん。もう時間は大丈夫なの。
That was the Satoshi-kun I knew. He didn't sound cold like the other day.
うん。全然平気です。
After that, he went silent. I felt the urge to start a conversation. He wasn't fair. He was the one who called in the first place. Then, he finally spoke.
先日はごめん。私こそごめんなさいです。ミオンは謝らなくていいよ。僕がどうかしてた。
If this were a face-to-face conversation, he would be stroking my hand. He was sad just talking to him over the phone.
僕は僕たちをここまで追い込んだ奴らを絶対に許しはしない。そいつらはミオンのとても近くにいるのかもしれないけれど、でも決してミオンじゃなかったんだ。だから僕は君にだけは謝ろうと思って。気にしないで。私だってサトシ君のことをよく理解しようともせず無神経だった。
We apologized to each other a few times.
それよりサトシ君、大丈夫？いろいろと大変なのに、 聡子の誕生日プレゼントのためにアルバイトまでして、だいぶ追い詰められてるんじゃない？もう
バイトはやめたよ。目標額のお金はなんとか貯められたみたいだからね。
そうなんだ。ならもう体を無理させなくていいんですね。本当によかった。
Satoshi-kun tried to say something, but he dropped it instead.
僕より聡子の方が辛い。
聡子、大変なことになっていますね。大丈夫なんですか？
あれが大丈夫なように見えるのかよ。
Oh. He suddenly sounded upset. I messed up.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。
I was so stupid. I had ruined this miraculous conversation with him. Satoshi-kun didn't respond to my apology, so I stopped apologizing.
あんなに誰が見てもわかるくらいに傷ついてボロボロで、みんな見捨てた。聡子を見捨てた。
見捨てたつもりなんて。
I tried to calm him down. I hated what I just said because of how hollow it sounded. I had no idea what to say next, and I felt guilty. Satoshi-kun was desperate to protect Satoko from their evil aunt. But I'd wish that Satoko would die tomorrow because of the curse. I was trampling on his desperate hope.
聡子はもう擦り切れる直前なんだ。だから。
So, he cut himself off in the middle and went quiet for a moment. He must have been choosing his words carefully. And then he finally spoke. His words sounded hollow.
だからせめて一夜くらい遊ばせてやりたいんだ。
え？遊ばせるって。
ほら、明日は綿流しのお祭りじゃないか。聡子を祭りに連れ出してやってほしいんだ。
それは構わないけど、どうして？
Why? That's not a good question that you should ask, Shion.
聡子もいろいろと参ってる。たとえ一夜でもおばさんのいないところで羽を伸ばせたならきっと喜ぶと思うんだ。
だからどうして？
どうしてって。
It's not that I didn't understand why he wanted her to take... It's not that I didn't understand why he wanted her taken to the festival. What I didn't understand is why he was asking me to do that. Well, you are responsible for baiting, like, the Pope out of Satoko, so I get a think that it should be your responsibility to do this, since technically you're supposed to be her friend. Remember, Shion? Was there any reason he couldn't take her there himself? I had a hunch that he might despair, so I kept asking.
どうしてって何がだい？
どうしてサトシ君が自分で連れて行ってあげないの？
He fell silent. Although there may be a point right over here that, Satoshi's not gonna bring Satoko himself. Like, it kind of makes you question if Satoshi is gonna end up doing something during the Watanagashi. Maybe something similar to Keiichi in chapter 3. Satoshi-kun isn't good at lying or keeping secrets. It was clear that he wanted to hide something.
用事だよ。僕、明日はちょっとバイトの関係で用事があって、どうしても祭りには行けないんだ。
He was lying. But he was also stubborn. He wouldn't admit it if I accused him.
ねえミオン、明日の夜だけサトコを頼めないかな。
I wouldn't want to look after Satoko, even at Satoshi-kun's request. But I'm also glad that he's relying on me.
あれだけの暴言をぶつけて、それを謝るついでにこんなことを頼むなんて悪いことだとは思ってるけど、ミオンだけが頼りなんだ。
I didn't know what to say. I didn't know though that I was going to turn down his request.
うん、わかった。明日の晩だけだよ。
できたら明日の晩だけじゃなく、これからもずっとがいいな。
何言ってるんですか？そんなの嫌です。明日だけですからね。
He sounded as if he were going to disappear tomorrow. I didn't like the sound of that, so I intentionally sounded sulky. We talked about trivial stuff for just a little while. When the conversation was almost over, Satoshi-kun asked something else.
ねえミオン、こんなことを話すときっと精神的に病んでるって思われるんで、本当は嫌なんだけど。
What?
どうしたんですか？
ミオンは信じないよね。
何をですか？
ほら、お社様のたたり。
サトシ君、何の話ですか？
お社様は確かほら、村を捨てて逃げ出そうとするとたたるでしょ。
That's the rule. Every kid in the village knows that.
そういうことになってましたね。どうしたんです？突然。村を捨てて逃げようとでもしてるんですか？
Though I was kidding, I wanted him to deny it.
もうそんな気はないんだ。もう。
He admitted that he had thought of it. I guess Rena told me that much.
いいじゃないですか。もうそんな気がないのなら。
でもまだ許してもらえないんだ。
Haven't been forgiven yet.
え？
Satoshi-kun tried to say something, but hesitated. He was breathing so heavily. Was he sick?
具合悪いの？
ごめん。そういうわけじゃないんだ。
サトシ君は少し頑張りすぎたから、いろいろ少し休んだ方がいいです。
He sounded distinctly more sickly from when this conversation had started. He breathed heavily when punctuating his words. Satoshi-kun repeated his question.
ミオン、最初の質問を。ミオンはお社様のたたりって存在すると思うかい？
What did he want me to say? Could I make him feel relieved with my answer? How should I respond? The answer was simple.
たたりなんてあるわけないじゃないですか。
I didn't know what was bothering him, but I wanted to make him feel better by laughing his worries away. But Satoshi-kun instead fell silent. Would my answer make him happy, or maybe sad? Could it be that he too wished for the Yashiro curse to be true, so that he would wish the aunt away, maybe? I couldn't tell. One thing was certain. I didn't make him feel any better.
変なことを聞いてごめん。
ごめん。
Felt like I let him down. So I apologized in a rush.
たたりだろうと、この村の何者かの陰謀だろうと、僕は絶対に消えない。消されない。
消えないよ、サトシ君は。
消えないよ、サトコに。あのぬいぐるみを買ってやるまではね。
Yeah.
もうすぐお給料がもらえることになってる。
Yeah, you better.
その日までは絶対に消えない。
He chuckled. I knew he was trying to relieve me, but he worked the opposite way. He sounded as though he didn't care what would happen after he bought the teddy bear.
あ、おばさんが帰ってきたからもう切るよ。
Alright.
うん。
ミオン。
何？
Even though he wanted to hang up the phone because of his aunt coming back, Satoshi-kun took a breath to tell me something important.
サトコのこと頼むからね。
I should have said yes right away. But I still couldn't forgive Satoko.
変なこと頼んでごめん。じゃあ。
He was obviously disappointed. What had I done? I wanted to apologize. I wished I could. But it was too late. The dial tone left no doubt. Now that was depressing. Alright, Shion. It's time for you to take care of, Satoko. And not in an aggressive way, mind you. A torn diary. Alright. Here's to another diary entry. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I was going to be the victim of the curse this year. So I'm going to disappear soon. What? There'll be nobody left to take care of Satoko. Somebody whispered to me from behind. They told me that I don't have much time. That I won't stay as myself for much longer. So I had to make the best of the days I had left. What could I leave for Satoko? She wanted that huge teddy bear. She wanted a peaceful life in which nobody would bully her. I whispered to the person at my back. Bestow your vile nature and formidable strength upon me. I want your peaceful mind, filled with hatred. Jesus freaking Christ. Okay. Okay, well clearly that was Satoshi. This was definitely not a entry in Shion's diary. But man, this sucks. I guess to answer that question from before when I said that maybe Satoshi wanted the curse to be true so that the aunt would disappear, but no. It could very well be that he's questioning himself having the curse. There is no doubt that the curse is affecting him really, really badly, it seems. The day of the Watanagashi festival. June 20th, 1982, 1:40 p.m. Oh, we're actually having like an exact date right over here. Whew. June 20th. What was I doing today? Nothing in particular. Nothing at all. I just wanted to play hooky. I woke up in the afternoon. I ate instant food for lunch while watching boring TV programs. I had a light headache, so I laid down on the sofa. I wouldn't wake up again if I went to sleep. Whatever. I decided to sleep. I'd already told Sis that Satoshi-kun had asked her to look after Satoko. I didn't have to do anything myself. Yeah, I guess that's true. I was thinking that Shion as Mion would be doing that, but Yeah, it makes sense that Mion herself would be the one to do it, so Shion is not gonna be able to do anything. I fell asleep, though my head was aching a little bit. That would be all I'd have to deal with. June 20th, 1982, 5:02 p.m. Whoa, hold on a second. We're jumping through time? Wait. Are these like Shion's journal entry? Are we gonna have like a summary of what happened on Watagashi? Because I was thinking that we're gonna go through these days in similar fashion to the early chapters, but are we actually gonna speed through this? Dion believed that all the villagers frowned upon her because her brother-in-law and his wife were pro-Dem activists. She surely experienced some fallout during the time of the dispute, but people had stopped looking coldly upon her, even though she assumed otherwise. She was paranoid, believing that all the villagers hated her, and so she decided to hate them back. Her attitude, of course, begot hatred from the villagers. Ah, man. So, if she fought any better, all this paranoia, if she wasn't as paranoid, then things would have been better. But no. Hatred. Hatred will bring more hatred, it seems. And the situation became exactly the way she thought it was from the start. Yeah. What came first? Their poor relationships with the neighbors, or her husband's affair? She didn't know herself. Her husband claimed that he got a lover because he was fed up with her attitude. She in turn claimed that their relationship with the neighbors went sour because her husband had damaged their reputation. Only Satoshi was aware that both happened at almost the same time. Their quarrels had become a daily routine now. When the husband came home late, the wife would shout at him at the entrance. Satoshi wondered why they didn't get a divorce, their marriage being as rotten as it was. But he secretly knew the reason for that too. It was the fortune his parents had left. His aunt had hidden their bank book, and a stamp and never allowed her husband access to them. So her husband would search for the house for them. She'd find out he stole some money from her purse. This would cause yet another fight. Satoshi had never been aware that his parents had that much money when they were alive. After their death, however, one of his relatives told him. He was informed that his parents had left a large sum of money in some bank account. Satoshi couldn't understand why they had that kind of money, because his family had been, as far as he knew, poor. It was because of the damn project. His parents probably got the money in return for their cooperation with the government. He had strived to get more villagers on their side, provided information to them and whatnot. The money was probably compensation for their efforts. His aunt and uncle never had any intention to adopt them until they heard about the money. After someone from some financial institution revealed its existence, they appeared to adopt Satoko and Satoshi. The couple would fight every day. Eventually, Satoshi's uncle started spending more time at his mistress's home. He realized that he had no reason to return to his own home, because he'd just end up in a fight with his wife if he did. When he stopped coming home, Satoshi felt relieved. Neither their uncle nor their aunt treated the two siblings very well. Satoshi's aunt wouldn't have to vent her frustration upon them. The reason the couple fought was their corrupted relationship. So if they separated, there wouldn't be any more fights. Yeah, but then the aunt would only have you as the victims to throw her frustrations at. Satoshi had fought that at first. But even after they separated, his aunt still had a short temper. Another woman had stolen her husband. The villagers must have been talking behind her back. It was mortifyingly embarrassing. Since she lost an opponent to fight, Satoshi's aunt directed her hatred toward the siblings. Satoshi had been observing her. He learned when she would get upset and how to avoid her attention. He managed to get by without upsetting her, by turning a keen eye to her behavior and avoiding conflicts. But Satoko couldn't do that. She hated her aunt and didn't even try to hide it. Satoshi told her to behave in their aunt's presence, but her eyes were always filled with hatred. Satoshi strived to reduce the conflict between them as much as possible. He stepped in to mend their relationship. It was a heavy burden for him though, because he was still just a boy. He bore so much. He covered for his little sister by lying and maneuvering. He tried to maintain a tangible sense of peace. But he couldn't do that forever. The relationship between Satoko and her aunt had already spiraled out of control. Satoshi found something in the trash. It probably wasn't a legitimate place for trash disposal. If it was, sanitation workers would come and pick it up. Oh boy. It must be Arena's Colonel statue. Colonel Sanders is here. He passed by this street all the time. So he noticed when there were new things dumped there. He found a plain-looking desk, of the kind likely to be seen in offices. Somebody must have dumped it within the past few days. His aunt liked to bring usable trash home. She'd asked Satoshi help bring a chest home just a few days ago. If he told her about the desk, she'd want it. His aunt hated to find bugs and garbage in the drawers, so she'd always open them to check before carrying the things home. Okay, this is actually pretty interesting. Satoshi opened all the drawers, all of which were empty. After that, he turned around and walked for about 5 steps. He was standing in a knee-high bush. There, he laid something he'd been carrying all the time, until today. It'd be very hard to find unless you specifically knew it was there to begin with. Looking satisfied, Satoshi looked around for some landmark to remember the place by. June 20th, 1982, 5:51 p.m.
Hey, 親父! 今年も来たね。また根こそぎかっさらってくから覚悟しときなよ。
いや園崎のお嬢ちゃんは今年も元気がいいな。あ、そっちの子は新顔かい？
この子はね、竜宮レナ。こう見えてても結構やるよ。そんなことないよ。
It's our first Watanagashi Festival.
よろしくお願いしますね。
おう、こっちこそよろしくな。今年もいろいろ景品を持ってきたんだぜ。もちろん真剣勝負だ。根こそぎ持ってけるもんなら持ってけってんだ。
レナは可愛いものには目がないのですよ。
Oh, Rika. In her adorable priestess dress.
あのぬいぐるみとそっちのぬいぐるみはレナの好みだね。かいいね。お持ち帰り。
お持ち帰り？
ダメだよ。まだ準備中だよ。おい。
レナ、ダメ。まだ準備中だってさ。ちゃんと回転したら根こそぎさらってやりな。もうダメだよ。レナのものなんだよ。お持ち帰り。
When I lost her marbles over the stuffed animal, everybody laughed. Everybody except Satoko. She was standing by herself, some distance from the crowd. Her eyes looked dull. Oh, poor baby.
なんなんですの、リカ。
Oh. Rina walked up to Satoko, smiling ear to ear in an effort to cheer her up.
今日は
は何も考えなくていいのですよ。
Yeah.
いっぱい楽しく過ごしましょうなのです。
Satoko looked down. Even if she got to have fun today, her circumstances at home won't change.
さとこ、意地悪なおばさんは今日はお祭りには来ませんですよ。
そんなことは分かってますわ。
ならいっぱい笑っていっぱい楽しくなるのですよ。みぱー、みぱー、みぱー。
あいにくですけど、そういう気分になれませんの。申し訳ございませんけど、放っておいてくださいませ。
どうしてさとこは笑いませんですか？
Satoko sulkily glimpsed at Rika. She gave her a look, as though she wanted to say that Rika should know the reason. Even if she could have fun today, nothing would change between her and her evil aunt. No matter how fun the festival was, once she went home, her aunt would be there. I guess we shall have to see. The aunt would find something wrong with Satoko, get mad, and shout at her so loudly that the neighbors would hear. How can she have fun, even just for today, while knowing all that? Satoko didn't say that out loud, but her eyes betrayed her emotions to Rika.
ではさとこの辛いのが今日でおしまいになるなら、さとこは笑ってくれますですか？
Satoko gasped. She thought that Rika might do something to help. But soon after, she realized that Rika was just trying to comfort her. Could her suffering end today? Because of Rika? How? Satoko knew that there was really nothing Rika could do. Huh. Okay, well, when Rika said that, it kind of made me question, what if this is actually going to be another similar scenario to Chapter 3? Not only would the Keiichi kill Teppei, in similar fashion to the thought that maybe Satoshi would kill the aunt, but the murder would be covered by the girls in case Satoshi left any evidence behind. That the girls would know that Satoshi is going to end up doing some murder in similar fashion to Keiichi in Chapter 3. It kinda makes me question. And so, after just one moment of freedom, Satoko fell into depression again. Now, the thing is, I remember that Satoshi left days after the Watanagashi, not today, so as far as they are aware, only the aunt is gonna disappear, and I guess through some little bit of a brief moment of silence and peace, they will be happy that the aunt is no longer. Sadly, Satoshi is going to end up disappearing too, which is going to hit Satoko the most.
リカ、くだらない気休めは聞きたくないですわ。
さとこ。
Rika's voice was clearer than Satoko had ever heard before. And, you know, now with the context of what we learned from Chapter 4, that Rika is this all-seeing, like all-future-seeing being kind of thing. Like, that she knows some of the stuff that is gonna happen. Yeah, it's gonna end up being true. To some extent, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. It is pretty interesting, because she says that, what if today all the suffering is gonna end, Satoko? Which will end up being true for a couple of days. And that will bring forth another wave of suffering. Because I get the feeling that Rika is also gonna see that Satoshi is gonna disappear into the future. That she's gonna end up seeing that. And I don't know, maybe maybe Rika just wants to give her some moment of relief that the suffering is not gonna disappear entirely, since a new wave of suffering is gonna end up happening in a couple of days, but one part of the suffering is gonna end today at least. So Rika is gonna tell her at least that.
もう決まっていることなのです。
Oh. Yeah, when you look at that. June 20th, 1982, 8:11 p.m. Satoshi snuck out the window after supper. He heard the distant ruckus of the festival. The festival would end at 9 p.m. After the Watanagashi ceremony, there was going to be a raffle drawing. So there were two types of people in Hinamizawa. The people who would go for dinner, and the ones who would stay until the raffle was over. Either relaxing at home or still at the festival. There were only those two patterns. On top of that, there weren't many neighbors in the vicinity of Satoshi's house. As a result, he found nobody on the streets. On that night, the small village seemed especially desolate. Satoshi knew it was going to be like this, but he would keep worrying until he saw it for himself. He was barefooted, but started running without hesitation. Barefooted. He felt as though he'd become a wild animal, running on his bare feet. He got the impression that he could run faster than usual. Only his running ability, his vision, his hearing, and his sense of smell. And all his senses were keen, including his sixth sense. What was it again? Like 1,500 seconds? Like all his senses are heightened to the point of godhood in similar fashion to Keiichi. He could almost sense the presence of people in the distance, if only when crouching like an animal. Felt strange, as though he had stepped into another world. He'd been feeling tense and anxious until today, battling with his own fear. But now he felt as though he had metamorphosed into a different person. June 20th, 1982, 8:37 p.m.
それではお楽しみ抽選会の説明をこれより始めますのでどうぞ皆さん櫓の周りにお集まりくださいな
The festival had reached its climax. The raffle was going to start. Both the women who were dancing and those who were waiting for the raffle gathered around the altar. This was the first time they held a raffle. The planning committee decided to hold one from this year onward, to attract more people to the festival. At first, the prizes were things the committee members had donated. But Oreo, not appreciating how pathetic they looked, had them thrown away. Oreo took the initiative and bought a brand new TV, a washing machine, a cooling fan, and other such things for the raffle. The committee wanted to keep it small initially, but it turned out big thanks to her. Oh man, imagine if Satoko or Satoshi would win this. That would be, well, it would alleviate some of the pain for Satoko a little bit. Oreo was upset because the committee members weren't enthusiastic enough, in her opinion. I mean, that is huge. Some of the members thought it would be very difficult to prepare prizes of equal value the following year. So this might be the very first and last raffle. Okay. I guess it makes sense to think about that, but...
お嬢さんのおかげで本当なすんばらしい商品になったね。だいぶかかったんじゃないの？運営費で立て替えするよ。
すったら。うな程度で立て替えなんてアホらしい。銭金の問題じゃないんね。たく。
まあまあそう言わないで。お嬢さんのおかげでできた抽選会なんだから。
こんな私一人でどうにかすりゃええんちゅうわけとちゃいなや。パホクサ。
The mayor, Kimiyoshi, was having a tough time pacifying Oreo. All of a sudden, one of the committee members burst into the tent in a rush. Oh? He looked upset, so Kimiyoshi assumed that somebody probably got hurt in an accident.
どうしたの、牧野さん。
Makino?
そんなに息を弾ませたら心臓が破れちゃうよ。
Kimiyoshi made a joke to calm him down. Makino, however, still looked tense. He whispered something to Kimiyoshi. Even without hearing the exchange between Makino and Kimiyoshi, it was plain as day there was bad news.
お嬢さん、悪い話なんだけどいいかい？
Kimiyoshi, accompanied by Makino, moved to Orio's side and spoke in a very serious tone. Kimiyoshi whispered to her the exact same words Makino told him.
いやはや、参ったよな。
参るも参らもなんね。3度あっちゃんは4度あるっちゅうこっちゃな。
Not that surprised.
お嬢さん、そりゃ笑えないや。
面白い話でもなんでもなぎゃ。面倒が増えただけっちゃね。
警察が今身元を調べてるらしい。どうも相当顔面をやられてるらしくて、身元の特定が難しそうなんだと。
顔がわからんでもおおよその想像はつくっちゃな。
え？心当たりがあるのかい？
Oria glared at Kimiyoshi, then started chuckling.
バーカが綿流しの祭りにも顔を見せん。不信心者に決まっとろうがね。
Oh.
ちゃんとお社様を敬って祭りに来ちょるんは。そんな目には合わなんとよ。
Oreo kept laughing. Kimiyoshi and Makino didn't know how to react to that. June 20th, 1982, 9:04 p.m.
しかし、こりゃ無残なもんっすね。
クマちゃん、死に方ってのは本人が望んだものでない限り、どんなでも無残なもんです。お悔やみ申し上げちゃいますよ。そっちどう？ポッケの中身とか個人が特定できそうなものは？
The forest investigators shook their heads.
サンダル履きで服装もラフ。近くにお住まいの方でしょうね。服装の特徴から周辺に聞き込みをすればすぐに割れそうっすね。
それしかないな。課長からこの山一区捜査してかかりそうだからって脅されてます。その辺注意してくださいよ。
了解っす。
Kumagai gathered some officers and gave them directions.
入江先生が到着しました。
Oh? Irie?
先生、あそこです。
The young doctor got out of his car and headed in the victim's direction.
どうも。遅れて申し訳ありません。抽選会の手伝いの最中だったもので。
先生、今日の祭りでだいぶ飲んでたでしょう。アルコール本当に抜けてます？後で風船でも膨らましてもらっちゃおうかな。
Oh. Imagine him being drunk and imagining maids.
ご安心を。運転はスタッフに代わってもらってますので。
Oh, he's serious.
そりゃそつがない。おい、先生通してあげて。
There was an area cordoned off with blue plastic sheets. An officer rolled up the sheet and let Oishi and Irie pass. The forensic people were taking photos from many different angles. The blood spatters and the blood sandals were left untouched, marked with chalk, and indicated with small alphabetized plates. This actually makes me question, like, you know, for those scenes where you put chalk, like around the victim and all that, what would you do if it's on dirt though? Because that's something that you can do like on cement, but on dirt, not that much.
こういうものは見慣れませんね。
He took out a handkerchief and covered his nose.
匂いがダメな時は口呼吸にするんですよ。 まあこういう匂いは目でも嗅げちゃうかな。ね。
The body appeared to be that of a middle-aged woman. It was soaked in blood. It looked like a middle-aged woman because of the hair and what she was wearing. The reason why no one could be certain it was a middle-aged woman was because its face was completely pulverized.
ひどい。
十中八九怨恨の線でしょうな。血痕とサンダル裏から見てここで殺したのは間違いないでしょう。でも見ての通りここは人通りが少ないと言ったって往来のど真ん中です。ここで頭部がひしゃげるまで殴り続けたってのはちょいとまともな話じゃないですからね。でね、ほら腕とか見てみてください。
Oishi put on latex gloves and lifted the corpse's arm. Oh?
腕は綺麗なもんでしょ
う。それはつまり腕で防いだとか抵抗したとかそういう痕跡がないという意味ですね。
さすが高学歴。仏さんはおそらく最初の一撃で脳震盪かなんかで気絶したんじゃないかと思うんです。
Yeah, must have been done in surprise.
で、星は確実に殺した手応えを得るためにさらに打撃を加えた。さらに言えば、仏さんはその時、うつ伏せに倒れたように思うんですよね。ねえ、服の汚れ具合からの勘ですが。
遺体は仰向けですね。
星は後頭部を散々潰して、明らかに頭蓋骨が砕けてる手応えを得ているにもかかわらず、わざわざ顔面を潰してるんじゃないかと思うんですよ。
Irie looked like he was going to throw up, both because of the putrid smell and Oishi's reasoning.
遺体の顔面を殴るってのは、私の経験じゃかなり怨恨の線が強いです。それもだいぶ濃厚な、濃密なね。ってことはつまり、星は仏のかなり近辺にいるのは間違いないかと。
私を呼んだのが救命活動ではないということはよくわかりました。
What I am interested in seeing from now on is how he was managed to be pinned to a random stranger, as we've learned like many chapters ago.
先生、この人が誰かわかりますかね。わかれば聞き込みの手間がだいぶ省けるんですがね。
Irie looked at the body once again. He looked away quickly and thought. Then, after a while, Irie left the investigation area without saying anything.
すみません。私にはわかりかねます。
本当に
Oishi smirked and looked into Irie's eyes, as though Irie was hiding something.
別に隠してなんかいません。
先生もアルコールがまだ抜けきってないだけですよ。頭が冴えたら思い出すかもしれません。思い出したら教えてくださいね。
Oishi tapped Irie on the back. The doctor, saying he wanted some fresh air, left the scene. Kumagai returned.
おいさん、課長から無線です。1号車の無線っす。
イリアの先生、ごまかしたな。
え？
いえ、こっちの話。仏の聞き込み急いでください。ほぼ間違いなくこの近くにお住まいです。
June 20th, 1982, 9:39 p.m.
おいさん、連れてきました。
どうもどうも。こんな夜更けに申し訳ありませんね。
Oh?
明日も学校なのに本当に申し訳ないです。
いえ。
お父さんはどちらへ？
うちの寄付はあまり帰ってきませんので。
おお。いつ頃から？最後に帰ってきたのはいつ？
さあ、義母と喧嘩しているのを聞く限りは、沖宮でどこかのキャバレーの人と同棲してるとかなんとか。最後に会ったのはあまり覚えてないんですけど、先々週ぐらい。
お父さんの連絡先はわかります？
いえ。
キャバレーの人と同居してるって言いましたよね。なんてお店かわかります？
いえ、沖宮のどこかにあるとしか知りません。
お父さんの名前は？
北条哲平です。